don't be a shitty human being. You know, when you're meeting somebody, ask and learn and be interested in learning about the other person. You know, if you're interested in somebody, if you're interested in topic, say it and, you know, talk about it. But if you're not, then don't fake it. So today I want to focus on a personal weakness that has definitely hurt my business immensely. What is it? My difficulties with maintaining relationships. It's definitely not as bad as it sounds. I have a wonderful relationship with my wife, with my family, all that good stuff. But I do suffer with maintaining relationships with clients and building those friendships that are great for business success. And I know this for a fact. This has hindered my business growth and opportunities immensely. And for this video, I wanted to try to fix that in whatever little way possible. So what did I do? I challenged myself to dig in deep and consume a ton of content to better educate myself on how I can evolve and become a better business leader. What I did is consume a ton of content. 4 books, 4 online courses, a ton of videos and webinars, went down the rabbit hole of YouTube. And I want to tell you a little bit about each course or each book, what it was about. And most importantly, I want to end the video with a strategy, a simple strategy that I kind of took out from all these different videos and courses and books, and something that I want to implement. And maybe it'll help you in real estate, help you in business, and hopefully it'll help me in my business. First, I wanted to dive into reflecting on why I have this difficulty with, you know, I don't think I have a big difficulty with connecting with people or, you know, first impressions. I think I'm actually pretty good at that. I'm not the best, but I'm not the worst, but I think above average. So let's take my word for it. I'm good at meeting people, asking about themselves, learning, communicating what I do. But where I do suffer big time is maintaining that relationship past that first initial meet and growing and just developing that relationship into something bigger than just meeting once or twice. So like always, we were gonna analyze ourselves and think about psychology and nurture versus nature. I think that the way I grew up affected me quite a bit. I moved around a lot. At the beginning, you know, every 2 years or something, before we moved to Canada. And when we moved to Canada, elementary school, I into a new elementary school, learning, getting new friends and, getting new best friends, and then moving again for high school. And I think the moving around as a kid so much never really gave me the ability to develop a friendship past a certain stage into being a long-term thing. So I never really developed those skills. It's very important to socialize children. It's very important to have a stable environment for children so they can learn, how to be social, how to not be aggressive, all that kind of fun stuff that you have to do as an adult, a functioning adult. And I think the way that I was brought up, the way that the circumstances that I had as a child gave me a lot of benefits, things that I think gives me an edge over a lot of people. But at the same time, were some cons to it, and the moving around, the constant changes, constant new challenges, new environments, just made me into very challenge-oriented, not shy away from challenges, not shy away from new scenarios, not being nervous, not being such a nervous person, kind of being open and taking any kind of difficulty and overcoming it. But at the same time, it didn't give me the ability, I wasn't exposed to being able to build relationships for the long term because I was moving around so much. So I think that's where it came from, my challenges came from. But I am a strong believer that once you're an adult, it's all up on you and you're not stuck unless you want to be stuck. So let's change this, let's learn how to get better because we're not staying here for long. So let's go through the books and the courses that I went through, and then we can discuss what I think I took away from them. First book, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, a classic that offers timeless advice on building meaningful connections. The next one was Never Eat Alone by Keith Ferrazzi. This book emphasizes the importance of building a network and how to do so effectively. The next book that I read was The Art of Mingling by Jeannie Martinet. This book provides strategies for overcoming social awkwardness and mastering any networking event. The last book, Influence, The Psychology of Persuasion by Robert Cialdini, another Italian, a guide to understanding what influences people's decisions, useful for negotiations and building rapport. Well, the 3 courses that I took, Building Relationships for Success in Real Estate, that was through LinkedIn Learning. And it basically focuses on developing relationships in a sales context, which is directly applicable to entrepreneurs looking to build their networks. The next one was Strategic Networking by Coursera. This one offers strategies for networking in a professional setting, including how to make meaningful connections. The last one I took was Improving Communication Skills, and this was offered by the University of Pennsylvania. This basically taught you that communication is key in any relationship. This course helps also to enhance your communication skills, making it easier to build and maintain business relationships. My big takeaway from investing so much time in all these books and all these courses was they all kind of say the same thing. Don't be a shitty human being. You know, when you're meeting somebody, ask and learn and be interested in learning about the other person. A lot of them use the classic word of being authentic. You know, if you're interested in somebody, if you're interested in topic, say it and, talk about it. But if you're not, then don't fake it. I think the best example in my mind would be that everybody I think would understand would be, don't be a car salesman, like a sleazy car salesman, where they'll say anything and anything to try to connect with you and try to sell to you. Trying to connect with somebody, just trying to be a normal human being, like a good human being. Talking to people, be interested in what they have to say, have conversations. And at the same time, a lot of them, they talk about respect, which is the same thing. You listen to people, don't just talk about yourself. Don't try to sell them right away. A lot of them also cover value, like try to provide value to people when you're talking to them, try to say something of value. I think if you go back to some of the famous people like Gary Vee, jab, 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 right hook. What does it mean? Provide value, provide value, provide value, and then ask them for the sale. Some of them has talked about strategies on where to make connections, like attending events or using social media, and strategies on how to stand out. To me, all that, I've never had a problem with it. I think, yes, the more you go to these events, the more you practice speaking to new people, the better you get at it. I think having a strategy, a complex strategy when you're going to meet somebody doesn't make sense. Then it feels very mechanical and very fake, and that's where it goes back to authenticity. I think if you're awkward, you're gonna be awkward, and the only way that you're gonna stop being awkward, I think, is again by repetition, going out and talking to people, making it not a new thing to approach somebody, introduce yourself. Another key point would be that I took away from it is be articulate, like communicating. In many aspects of a relationship, communicating first, if it's the first meeting, being able to communicate what you do, what are you passionate about it and why, that's like a number one. If you put yourself in the shoes of the other person, they also are there for the same reason. They're also professionals. They're trying to create those relationships just like you. So they want to know, not necessarily, but yes, like what do you have to offer? What kind of person are you? Do I see myself building a relationship with this person? So you being able to communicate what you have, what you are passionate about, what you do, just simply what's the service that you provide and who do you provide it to and how does it help? I think if you can articulate that correctly, the rest is easy. So I don't want to go into too much detail in strategies on the whole process of building a relationship. My goal was to have some sort of a roadmap or a strategy or learn some techniques or educate myself better on the second process. On the second stage would be just maintaining. So from that, I was thinking, it's not very natural to me, right? Like it doesn't come naturally from my personality. So I thought if from everything that I consumed, all the content that I consume, What I can take away from it is some sort of basic guide that I can follow until it starts becoming a little more natural to me. You know, I think when I don't know something, I like to be very methodical and more step oriented, you know, like I'm gonna do step A, B, C, and D. So I took away from these points. Hopefully, if you're in the same spot, you could use them. First step would be, yes, you have that first meeting. I don't have an issue with that. You know, communicating what you do, having that rapport, that back and forth, and just, you know, being friendly, being a good person. I think I'm okay with that. But once you step away and you go home, you go back to your office, and then following up with that relationship, that's where I struggle with. So from all the content, this is the little strategy that I put together. So it's basically 3 steps or 2 steps and 1 rule. The first one would be provide value. Cliche, but I think it is important to remember that it's not all just about you and trying to be desperate for that sale or desperate for that relationship to flourish. You never know when that relationship could be helpful for the future, or maybe that relationship will only be you being able to help that person out, and that's as far as it goes, and that's fine too, right? It's not about I give you 1, you give me 1, or I give you 1 and you give me 3. It's not about that. I think at the end of the day, it feels good to be able to help people. So providing value, that's more like a golden rule. And then the steps would be, for me, the big ones is follow-ups. Right after meeting somebody, following up with a message, text message, email, however you feel comfortable sending it, something that you connected with the conversation or the interaction that you had, and maybe suggesting a next action. You know, like meeting up next time, or, you know, some sort of next action. If it's going to be a phone call, a meeting, if it's even applicable, but if not, what's the next action? Are you guys going to meet up? Are you going to invite that person for a phone call, a coffee, to keep developing the relationship, or keep a conversation or a topic that you were interested, keep it going? Do that, if applicable, of course. And then the even tougher one for me is keeping in contact constantly. What does that mean to you? Well, it's going to be appropriate, but I think, you know, regular check-ins with your contact, sharing updates, or just simply asking how they're doing. This is super easy. I think this is super easy and super simple if you create content. And being able to, 1, post and share that content. If you make a piece of content that you think they would really like, that's a really good one for the golden rule, you know, providing value. If you invested time in developing a piece of content that provides value in what they're interested in, just sending them their way, a little DM, a little email, like, oh, I put this video together, I put this little, you know, white sheet or whatever you made content-wise together, and I thought you were really interested. Why? But not just blanket send that to everybody. I think relationships come back to, again, respect and investment and being authentic. And what screams not authentic and no effort than sending a blanket email to all your contacts, not making it personal for them, not personalizing it for them. So obviously it's going to take effort. Obviously it takes a little more of an investment, and maybe you can't do that with everybody, but sending that email and personalizing and saying, I really think that this video or this piece of content would be helpful for you because of this reason, because the last time we talked, you expressed interest in this, and that's a little follow-up. Also using social media. If you follow them on social media and they post something that you find interesting, is commenting and engagement. And those little things sound simple, and I think everybody kind of knows it. But if you don't implement a system to remind you, if you don't have that in your mind, if you don't have that personality of always being, you know, chatty or always being, you know, personable, I don't know how to describe it, things that I don't have. I think it's going to help me a lot to implement some sort of structure to follow until I work out that muscle of the follow-up strategy that all of these courses and books recommend. And then when it is appropriate to speak to them about maybe buying or, you're offering something that you know is very good for them. Hopefully you build that relationship of trust. Hopefully you build a little bit more of friendship, and you can offer it, or you can ask for like a meeting and present it and, have a discussion about it, and it's not so forced. Or they come to you when they know they need your service or whatever you're providing. So yeah, I think reading all these books, taking all these courses, I started to hear a lot of ideas that were repetitive, which made me think there were a lot of truths in there. Some stuff to me sounded kind of ridiculous and a little too much, but I kind of whittled down to these basic things that I want to implement. And if it is using a CRM for reminders, if it is some sort of system to help me being self-aware or what your strengths and your weaknesses are, is important in business. Much more important is being able to work on those weaknesses and being humble enough to say, I suck at this, I'm gonna work on it. Yeah, so I hope this mess of a solo podcast helped you a little bit. It helped me because it gave me the excuse to read all these books and consume all these courses. I might keep it going because it's a little bit of a push for me to keep going. And I can make a little content, maybe help somebody. Let me know if you've actually taken any of these courses. If you recommend anything, any books or any videos, send them my way. I'll be happy to watch them. Cheers.